Two, and
Howdy ho, friends and foes, and welcome to Dads on Life, your weekly episodic show about parenting from a male perspective. I am your host, Jay Miles, and with me, as always, are my co-host, Keith Bogan,
who are you anyway?
Chad Holloway,
Hello.
and Doug Hamadike.
Hey, good afternoon.
Today, we're going to be talking about the post, as we've opened up in the post-pandemic world, really, in the last few months now with pretty much, it's almost in some places it is totally back to your capacities and things like that. In some places they're lagging a little bit behind, but we'll get into discuss that. Doug actually is fresh off a vacation last week, but the week before I was away also. And we have a big shindig coming up that will kind of be sort of related to this show next weekend, which we'll get into a little bit. So, well, why don't we go to the fresh off vacation Doug Hamadike to kick us off here and let him discuss, his
All right, yeah, cool. Yeah, me and the family decided to take our yearly trip to Wildwood. It was put off last year, sadly, and we went down for a week fun of pools and boardwalks and out to dinner, which I don't do normally, which I actually did every night. So yeah, we had a great time, and it was just very interesting. If we are going to dive into the post-pandemic stuff, what we did see is we're not prepared yet to a lot of the businesses there were sorely missing a lot of staff because like Maury's Piers relies a lot on and working
you're breaking
have
up.
to plan ahead. They have to because they have to get housing and stuff like that. A lot of the people weren't available, so a lot of the staffing things like the rides and all are just there wasn't enough staff, so they had to actually rotate what rides were open and stuff. And a lot of the restaurants you waited a little bit longer, but it all worked out. We all had a great time, and it was just interesting because how we got brought together with Jason, not knowing each other, is the same thing. At Wildwood, I met a couple of people I met online, and actually the same hotel with their families and stuff, and really bonded and became good friends, during the week away. But like I said, they're Facebook friends who I'd never met before, and oddly enough, there's me and my family, enjoying a vacation with another family that, and it was other people that I also, so the foodie thing, Wildwood Foodies, there was other people down there who were also doing the same thing at the same time. So we ran into some of those people and all, and I got to show my kids the boardwalk game of Fascination. So there's a guy named Randy who has done the old style arcades for a very long time on the Wildwood Boardwalk. And then he was pushed out when the Boardwalk Mall closed. So he had to take all his stuff and put it into storage. And he just opened up a little storefront now back on the boardwalk. And a lifelong thing of his is the game of Fascination, which was like a central Pennsylvania thing. And he had the machine shipped out. And he has a whole room of Fascination games. So it's a lot of fun, just rolling a ball. Anybody could play, and it's kind of like bingo. So we played, I don't know how many rounds, but it was a really good competition. And we did actually every night. We went up to the boardwalk, visited Randy, and played Fascination. So my kids are now obsessed. And my parents came down, and we all got to hang out with my parents too for a couple nights. So it was great to be out and stress-free from work and, you know, taking in that ocean air. You know, it's just the moment you step on that boardwalk, just the smells and the excitement. We love it. My son, Colin, is obsessed with the boardwalk and stuff. And his thing is that one day he's going to be a school teacher in Wildwood and get a house at Wildwood. And me and my wife are going to live in the bungalow in our retirement. So that's about it.
Nice.
Okay.
So it sounds like you had a vacation like it was 2019.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what we were looking for. And we got what we expected, and we all had a great time. And yeah, we look to hopefully go back down in the fall.
Nice.
So life has become post-pandemic is pre-pandemic. I mean, I went to a wedding just last night out in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and of the 150 people there were two people who were probably in their young to mid 20s who were wearing masks, and the general thought was that they might be trying to get pregnant, so they were being extra careful about exposure to other people. Other than that, and Lancaster's a very conservative area, but there was absolutely no hint whatsoever that there had ever been a pandemic. So life is, it's not just missing that, it's almost as if what people say, I can't wait to get back to normal. I can't wait to get back to the way it was, which by the way is not the way I think, because I think we've learned some very valuable lessons on how to live life during the pandemic that were better than what we used to do. But so many people are just eager to jones right back to the old ways.
Right.
And that was definitely Lancaster, Pennsylvania yesterday, or Mount Joy to be more specific.
And so here's my part of the story, being still out of the country and kind of things aren't back to normal here really, but things have changed. And I know the three of you know that there's been some protests, some uprising, some conflict within the country that had started probably back in May, I believe. But what they did was they had everybody pretty well locked down during the week. You could only go out like 2 days a week, depending on if the last number of your federal ID ended in positive or in a odd or even number. So odds one day, evens the other day. And then on the weekends, usually they had everything closed down. Things like no alcohol sales and things like this, like lots of things like to keep people from getting together. So it was very locked down. The ICUs were full at that time. Then we had the protests come up, and I think it was getting pretty heavy here for a little while. And what they did was they backed off of the quarantine criteria. So they basically opened up, and I think the ICUs are still full, but I think the people are happier because they're not locked up, and I think they're less likely to sit at home and fume about the government and want to go after the government. So I think that was a strategic decision on behalf of the government, is to kind of alleviate that, because it's like, what are we going to do? Have them overthrow the government? Or are we going to let these people out and let them do something? But so now, like when we go out in the streets, we're still wearing tapabocas or face masks, and I would say it's less than it was in the past. It was every time you entered a mall, and then every time you entered a store, you had to they would spray alcohol on your hands. You had to wash your hands. You had to step on some sort of thing to decontaminate your shoes and then dry them. Right. But now there's no more hands and no more feet, but everybody just has the face mask. So things aren't back to normal here, but they are, I believe, in the process of vaccinating people above the age of 40 at this point. So they are making some progress. I don't know what percent.
Wow.
What percent of the people have been vaccinated, but I don't think it's probably a huge number. And here I think there's even more rumors and stuff like that about. Well, here's the other side. They have other vaccines here as well. not just the FDA approved one. So there could be, they've got a Russian vaccine. I want to see a Chinese vaccine as well. And they say that there's some things that happen with some of those, but it's all, who knows? I don't know the truth about that, but I certainly know that people are out there thinking that it happens. And, I told my wife, probably don't get the Russian or the Chinese vaccine. Try to get a vaccine from the US.
Yeah.
Gee, why? I don't understand.
But so anyway, things are kind of normal here, but I mean, it is different than the US, but they backed off the restrictions, but we still have a lot of the safeguards in place, and they're working on it, but we're in Colombia, they're 6 months behind the US.
Right. Now here, I was also in Lancaster 2 weeks ago. Actually, in Lancaster, pretty much proper at the Cartoon Network Hotel. My in-laws had won a free weekend, so we actually took advantage of it, and the 6 of us went, us, the girls, and my in-laws. It's a different world, and I knew what it was gonna be like, but it's getting much less restrictive here as well. It was less restrictive here going out there, so I was prepared. We were prepared for it. Out there, it's I saw a pretty good amount of people still masked, but there were a good amount of people that weren't. It's gonna happen. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But people are trying to move on, which is a good thing. I think it's a pretty good thing that we're trying to move on from this. But yeah, like Keith said, hopefully the lessons are learned, and there's some, measures taken to better protect yourself. I will tell you one interesting thing that happened while we were at the Cartoon Network Hotel. We were walking from the lobby up towards our room or something like that, walking around out there, and we walked past the room, and I knew immediately what the odor that was coming out of said room was. And my wife looked at me and was like, oh. So, and then about, 15 seconds later, my mother-in-law whirled around with her head. I said, oh, she smelled it too. It was quite apparent that somebody was having a very good time. Let's put it that way. My concern is, I believe there were kids in the room that it was coming from. So that was a little bit interesting. And it was not the only time during the weekend that it was apparent that it was going on, but to each their own. I'm in the mindset of, hey, live your life the way you want to live your life. If I don't see a problem with it, but unless they're driving or something like that, or in some other shape or form putting their kids in some kind of danger, which it could have been really with the amount of smoke that was in that room. Yeah, I could see there possibly being some kind of issue with that in the long run, but to each their own. Other than that, we did go to the outlets there, and it was a store-to-store basis. I don't know if it's a national policy with certain stores. I will say there are certain stores that I don't know if it's because of them being understaffed or what, but I know like the Nike store, just like here, there was a very, very long line going into that store. And I was kind of really surprised by it. but like I said, I mean, it's either because they're still kind of following COVID protocol, or they're understaffed. So yeah, definitely staffing issues in Lancaster as well. We went to, where did we go? We went to Cracker Barrel the first night. Cracker Barrel there is still social distancing. But again, I think that also was because of staff concern in the restaurant as well. I don't think they brought them back. And then we went to Waffle House, which no, they're that's back to normal, totally back to normal. We also went to the big buffet, smorgasbord, whatever you want to call it out there, Shady Maple, which is a very large scale buffet out there, famous one. And they are pretty much back to normal. When my in-laws were out there not too long ago, you had to wear a mask and gloves to go up to the buffet. The glove station is still there, and there were some people walking up to the buffet with masks on. A lot of people weren't, but again, when you lift the restrictions, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't go into, it's you got to move on. So yeah, it was an interesting weekend. And then this weekend, I'm trying to think what we did. We went out to dinner last night to Red Lobster, and it was yeah, pretty slow, so you can't even tell what things are like there. It's actually very slow for Saturday night, a little bit early, but slow for Saturday night. And we went out for ice cream, and again, slow. It was kind of a little bit strange for a Saturday in the summer, early summer here, but maybe it's my thought is a lot of people probably took advantage of the Jersey Shore over the weekend. I would say, I would definitely say that if you went down the shore, the restaurants were probably packed. Elise was down there with the girls Thursday or Friday and Thursday, and you said by the time you left, the lot was full. By 1 o'clock, the pay lot was already full. So my guess is, yeah, people were running for the shore because they're taking because like I said, they've lifted the restrictions here. So there was a beeline. I'm sure there was a huge, surprisingly, I will say Friday and yesterday, there was not a tremendous amount of traffic. And I actually, which the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, the Fridays have been brutal on the Parkway. And Friday, not thinking about it, I took the Parkway. What did I have to do? I had something I needed to do Friday, so I needed to take the Parkway home. Friday, yeah, I had something I needed to do, so I needed to take the Parkway home, and it was relatively empty. We're definitely not a usual Friday traffic day on the Parkway, and it wasn't early either. So that was a little bit surprising. Why the hell did I have to take the Parkway? Now I'm trying to remember. I'm losing my mind here. But I would definitely say Friday is going to be horrendous on a lot of the roads with 4th of July, especially the Parkway. The Parkway, you're not even going to want to go near this week. For the next, actually, pretty much all week, you probably won't want to go near. You shaking your head, Keith? You shaking your head in agreement, or?
I'm shaking my head in agreement because I learned 20 years ago, 25 years ago, the worst thing in the world you can ever do is travel on a holiday weekend. I mean, it's just crazy stupid to do that, especially in a car, I might add, by the way. Flying is actually, although there's a lot going on, it's not as bad. But driving is horrifying, especially in the Northeast. On a
Now,
holiday
flying,
weekend?
flying during summer holidays, yeah, they're not that bad. It's the winter holidays that you're flying is pretty rough.
Yeah, so I mean, in fact, I learned on a July 4th weekend back in the late 90s when it took me something like 9 hours to get from Southern Connecticut to Southern Maine. I'm like, yeah, no. So,
9 hours to get. Oh boy,
yeah. So, and
that
it
shit
was
was what?
pure volume. There
4?
wasn't any construction or anything. It was just the massive amount of cars. So yeah, and I'm sure it isn't any different now.
It should take what, 4.5 only?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh boy,
It was a
geez.
horrifying trip, and of course, it didn't help back then that there was a 1 or 2 year old in my car who had to pee every 30 minutes, so that didn't help either. Jason, you're muted. Did you mute
Muted.
yourself?
That's
God,
because I'm
God-
not talking to you. I'm asking somebody something.
God knows we want to mute you all the time, but you didn't have to do it just now. I mean, come on. There goes our PG rating again.
So New Jersey and Pennsylvania are all open now. Is the city open or no?
As best as I can tell, yes, but I haven't been there.
Yeah,
I was actually,
they lifted the restrictions in New York. In fact, they took away on Friday. You can't. They took away alcohol sales to go. Pretty much just completely eliminated alcohol sales to go. So yeah, the city's back to normal. Yeah,
that's interesting
in fact,
because I was in Brooklyn. I went to Brooklyn Thursday for kind of a wedding thing, and I would say a number of people on the streets were still wearing masks. It was middle of the day, and they were still walking. A decent amount were wearing masks.
in in fact, there was actually the first concert, full scale concert, happened at MSG. No mask, and I do not believe there was any kind of capacity requirements or any kind of capacity restrictions. Was the Foo Fighters on Sunday night at MSG? So yeah, I'm pretty sure the city's back to normal, 100% now.
Very nice. And I read that in St. Louis, they had in the ballpark, they opened it up for everybody so they could go to capacity. It's the first time in like a year and a half or something that they've had full capacity there.
I
So-
forgot. I think the Yankees are still on a restriction, but I don't think the Yankees and Mets are still on a restriction. I think they're going to be a little bit longer. I would say probably most likely after the All-Star break, you'll get back to 100% capacity at those stadiums, most likely. If they're not, I do not believe they're back yet. They may be 70% or 75%. Not 100% sure if the sports arenas here are. The Phillies, I'm pretty sure they're not, but the Phillies have also been so fucking bad this season that I don't think anybody wants to go to the games.
I mean, are you kidding me, Jason? That's like a minor league team. Let's talk about professional sports, shall we?
Well, the Mets are on fire. So, I mean, I could actually, I don't know. If they're not, they're close to getting back to full capacity. I don't know.
I believe all the major league teams are back at full capacity. Yes. Now that, no, I don't know if anybody's selling out per se, but I'm pretty sure I've seen some pretty heavy attendances, and I think they're all 100%.
The Texas teams are all selling out. Absolutely. Houston selling out games. Oh yeah. So are the Rangers.
Why, they suck too.
because people are idiots.
Do they carry their sidearms into the stadium too?
Oh, they've been doing that all along. What the hell are you talking about? Of course they carry guns in the stadiums in Texas.
Oh boy.
You didn't know that?
I've only been to one game at a Major League Baseball game in Texas. It was it was more like 7 or 8 years ago. And I actually, even though it was a pretty well sold game, I did not notice anybody carrying firearms.
The only thing you can't carry, I'm pretty sure the only thing you can't carry a gun to in Texas is a federal or state building. I think that's pretty much the only thing you can't carry a gun into. Florida is pretty much the same thing for the most part.
Well, that's all pre-pandemic stuff. It's no different. So what the hell? Just let them be. They can have their own country if they want. It's all right.
You're going. You're going now? Okay. You can stay and read, or you can stay here. You don't have to leave. Okay, whatever. Apparently the entire house is leaving again, so.
Well, you should take a shower occasionally. It probably would help.
Shower every day.
You hear?
What'd she say?
The smell in the house.
Hey,
I didn't know this was come to bury Jason Day. This is good.
you're gonna be cooking your own food next week if you don't shut up.
Well, some people would be poisoned if that happened, but
Actually, speaking of which, I mean, I mentioned it. Keith is having a party next week, and we're gonna get back to doing something that we were doing. We had done what, like three or four times before the pandemic. I know we did it 3 times in 19.
and anybody who is of our worldwide audience who listens to this event,
All 5 of them.
anybody can DM me and they already have an invitation. How's that sound? But they have to have listened to this event in order to be able to go to the party.
Yeah, that'll be one of
They need to know the
That'll be one of
password.
that'll be one of the biggest things that I've done since the reopening, really.
Doug, does that mean you're going to bring Linda? So we can get firsthand abuse about our cursing?
Maybe. She's not that far away.
And be like, all right, boys, I told you.
Oh, dear God, her and Glory in the same room together. God fucking help us all. Oh Lord, the house may come down, literally.
Now, once I find out your address, I think me, the kids, and the wife will be headed on over.
It was in the email I sent you.
This is what I tell him.
I don't.
He thinks that
Everybody
email
else-
is the
Everybody
best
else could read.
way the best way to
Everybody else
get
reads, motherfucker. So
information out there. Yet I've had 2 people say they didn't read it because they don't open email, and another one asked me if it was legit.
even if you
Yeah,
are
people.
such a putz that you can't open emails, then you don't deserve to be at my parties.
I get so many emails that I didn't even notice that you sent one.
Exhibit A.
No,
Yes, you're all
now I'm
pathetic.
gonna have to go.
You know
now I'm
why
gonna have
people
to go
get too
dig it
many
out.
emails? Because they get all these ads and they don't bother deleting them, so they have 45,000 emails in their inbox.
Exhibit A right there. Stop emailing people.
Nope, it's not. That's the
Okay,
only way it's
let
ever
me
going to
just-
happen.
I got your email and I read it.
Thank you. Ted.
Probably the only one.
And he's in
Yeah,
Columbia. Great.
Can you forward it to me? Can you forward me the information?
It's 60. It's 64. Whatever the C road is.
But that didn't sound good at all. Oh my
Honestly,
God.
you can't miss where he lives. It's whatever C road it is in Twins Carrington.
Well,
in
if
Twin
you
River-
think about it, you won't be able to miss where I live anyway, because it'll be where all the smoke and fire is, because Jason's going to be the one cooking. So the house.
You
will be
could do
on
this yourself. You really could,
fire.
especially on that piece of junk grill you got.
It's really good that I didn't I don't have it's more brick here, so it's a fire. It'll keep the fire down.
So anyway,
Scowling.
so what other plans do we have coming up this summer? Keith, I know you said you're heading out to Colorado as well. You have a couple of things you have
I
coming
got
up.
Ohio first, next week after the party, 3 days after the party, immediately go to Colorado. And then before little boys go back around August 11th to school, I have to be in Ohio again one more time, and I have to be in South Carolina one more time. It's all in South Carolina at the end of July, Ohio again the beginning of August, but not back to school, just something at school. You wonder where I got all the miles on my car. I think there's no doubt. There's no doubt here. And, I'm going to be in Colorado, like I said, the middle week of July. I'm pretty sure I'll be out there again September, October timeframe as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of road warrior stuff coming up. But I still haven't gone as far as Columbia. So, I only go to Columbus. I don't go to the countries of Columbia. I only go to the city of
Yeah.
I only go to the city of Columbia in South Carolina.
But you need to get down here sometime.
I think that knowing you, Chad, it's a fait accompli. It's gonna happen.
It's a good time, but yeah, I don't have too much planned. Once I get back, I don't have too much planned, except for I got to figure out the next time I'm coming down here, of course, because we're still waiting on the visa for the family. And, I had a friend who, his fiance has gotten the fiance visa, or she has an interview set up in July. So I'm hoping, and I know that they weren't too far ahead of us. So I'm hoping that we're not too far behind them in terms of our interview and getting the family up to the United States. But, I've got that, and I've got Frankie's going back to school probably at the beginning of August. So he's still not sure of his plans. He might go up to Chicago and go back with his roommate. He might just fly out from St. Louis, or he might drive back. So he's still in the air. He's, typical 20-year-old. I think he's still trying to figure out what's going on. But I know he's got some sort of what's the big concert thing? There's a big concert in Chicago in early August. He wants to go to that. It's like 4 days.
Lollapalooza?
Lollapalooza. He wants to go to Lollapalooza with some of his buddies, I think, and then just fly out of there. Which that sounds like something I would do. So
I was gonna say it's chip off the old block there, don't you think?
guys, just fly in, take all your stuff, fly out, go back to college.
Yeah, we have,
Other than that, I don't have too much planned really at this point. I'll have a few more things to do, but nothing planned.
right, we have, trying to think, I have one concert coming up. We have one concert coming up in August. A bunch coming up later in the year. Starts with the Black Crows. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We don't have the Black Crows. Black Crows is until September. They moved it again. But we will probably get out and do some stuff. Maybe go to Great Adventure over the next couple of weeks or something like that. A couple other things. But with work, it's always impossible to travel during the summer for us. So that we're not really doing much traveling, but we'll see, maybe some day trips to some places, but we'll have to see what goes on.
Well, Jason, with those new wheels you got to get out there, man. The boys got some very nice looking new wheels.
I got to get it fixed first.
Brand new vehicle got hit. Yeah, good.
No. And did you go with the Subaru? Or
What?
no? Did you go with the Subaru?
No, the Subaru was the old one, Hyundai.
Okay. Excellent.
But I'm trying to think what else there is coming up. I know the girls might be going to Florida, possibly in August. Other than that, I really don't know. Nothing long trip wise. Maybe sneak off down to Delaware for a weekend or something. Maybe we'll see. Depending on what goes on. But it definitely is going to be a lot, hopefully, a lot more to do and a lot of other things to take care of this year to as things open up more. I know, yeah, maybe we'll get out. We might get out to, I would take the girls soon to a Patriot game coming up, especially with the Patriots now being a Yankee affiliate, the Somerset Patriots up in Bridgewater. we used to go down to Lakewood, which is the Philadelphia Phillies affiliate, but I've always been a fan of Somerset anyway, so we might actually get up there a couple of times, hopefully. But yeah, definitely not being stuck in a house for the entire summer this year, for sure.
Well, I mean, it's nice now that the pandemic is coming to an end. My hope here is that we all don't get so used to life the way it used to be in terms of flexibility and going places and doing things. And then we have Delta jump up and do something stupid in like October. Because if we have to go back into a stay-at-home type situation because there's another wave essentially, I'm not sure I want to even be in the country when that happens because it's going to get ugly.
Thank you very much, Debbie Downer.
Not a problem. I'm more than happy to serve in that regard. I like to, bring you back to earth when you're floating.
But what I have heard though is that the vaccines are protective, and that those are typically, if somebody does have the Delta variant, that it's a less severe illness. There's less acuity that goes along with it. So hopefully that'll be a saving grace. But I know that everybody is not vaccinated, but it's still, I think, will be potentially less severe. I mean, I would be very surprised if they locked us down again.
All right, Doug, you got the noise. I can hear you.
No, I was just gonna say, I'm against all your recommendations, and we'll be heading right down to the Jersey Shore for 4th of July to Point Pleasant. But we'll take up at my friend's house for a couple days, for the beach, and heading on over to Keith Shindig to meet a whole bunch of new friends who actually haven't gotten to meet any of you. So that'll be cool. And yeah, for us, it's a lot of lakes and parks around here. There's so much to do outside, and that's what the kids love, to go into the creeks around here and stuff, and go down to like Hawk Falls and stuff, where all the boulders came down, and there's like a giant boulder park. Kids love stuff like that. So we'll be outdoors a lot, but I heard a lot of the parks around here are like overwhelmed with people since the pandemic. Like you were saying, a lot of the rules have been lifted. So a lot of state parks are already over full. And even yesterday, driving up to past the Delaware Water Gap to North Jersey, there's people parked on the side of the roads, and the state police were like moving cars because people are like all over Delaware. And yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the amount of people out and trying to do things now, like you were saying, it's just like, wow. Because last time we went to Hawk Falls, usually you'll see maybe a couple other hikers along the way, but the parking lot was full last time we went, and I just kept going, and I was like, well, guys, we'll do Hawk Falls a different time, because there was just too many people. I was like, that's out of control. But yeah, like I said, we'll be heading down to the Jersey Shore for the 4th of July week, and then it was interesting because my friend Tedford, who was down at Wildwood, was telling us about a soul weekend, and it's out in Lancaster, no less. And they booked up the Cartoon Network, like you were saying, the hotel there. And across the street, they're gonna have a soul dance, and it's kid friendly, and you could come and go, which is very uncommon for like a soul dance of this style. But I'm like, it's just that the people, we're all getting old.
What do
you mean getting?
All right, we
what is
are
soul
old.
dance?
So
What is soul dance?
where they play all the old northern soul music, and people get out and dance, and people get dressed up, and
Oh, I got you. Okay.
yeah. So yeah, they're gonna have this soul dance, and for the now that we're all old, they're making it kid friendly because that's the audience. And I was like, how sad, morbid, and just a reminder of how old we are, that the way that it's being formatted.
I know they're doing a doo-wop thing in northern Jersey Labor Day weekend. I forgot where it is, Parsippany, I think maybe, or something like that. I know. Well, one thing I like to do now that I think about it is my in-laws bought me a gift certificate for my birthday for Penzies, and now I'm thinking maybe we should, instead of using it through email, maybe I should actually take kids down to Philadelphia for the day and walk around, do some museums or something maybe. As things seem to be going, back to a little bit more open. A lot of the museums might be other things like that. And then Delana is hugely into Harry Potter, and like to take her into New York soon over the next couple of weeks, and maybe do the Harry Potter store and a couple other things while we're over there.
I'm curious, in each of your households, who is more comfortable relaxing the standards, getting rid of the masks, being back amongst people? Is it you or your kids?
I would
Definitely not.
say, go ahead, Doug.
Oh no, I was gonna say definitely not my kids. It is definitely me, I guess, more or less. My kids, Colin, my youngest, he still wears a mask, and he's very annoyed with when he comes around people that aren't or not being responsible. And Brendan actually told us himself that he wanted to get the shot, and we took him to be vaccinated. And we were very just like surprised that Brendan came to us and said, he wanted to be vaccinated. We were like, no, all right, cool. At least we know it's not a problem. And Colin wants to as well, although Colin's not of age yet.
Right.
So, yeah, that'll be happening, I guess, eventually. But yeah.
I know for me, my boys are very vigilant about this stuff of wearing masks quite a bit of the time. And they're remembering more than I do. I think the older you get, the faster you want to forget and just go back to what it was.
I'd say I'm probably more relaxed about it than Frankie was, but once he got the vaccine, I think then he relaxed quite a bit as well. But I know being here, it's still kind of flared up, if you will. And so even though I've had the vaccine, and now my mother-in-law has, we still have a couple of youngsters here, and then Anna has not had it. So I'd say I'm still more relaxed, but with them in mind, I am vigilant, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
I'm less concerned about it for me, but I don't want to, bring it to them, touch something and transmit it,
Right.
I know for me, the girls are pretty good about it, actually. I believe that they're both going to get, I don't think they really have a problem with the vaccination. So they'll both most likely get it. So they've been going to jujitsu, like I said, since June of last year. So they're used to some situations where they don't have to wear their mask. So they're handling it pretty well. For the most part, I think they've handled it very well, honestly. Because like I said, I mean,
will never shut down.
what?
Their martial arts school never shut down.
Yes, it did. It shut down from March to June last year.
Right.
Reopened in June to limited capacity, but it reopened in June. Yeah, very limited capacity. It reopened in late June of last year. So yeah, they and I mean, that was one situation where I didn't wear a mask much either. There were three cases in the school. Three times. I think there was 4 cases because one time, one of the cases was both teachers. But none of the younger students. It was all adult students who had it. They were shut down, quarantined for like 24 hours or 48 hours, and we're back to normal until except when the 2 teachers got it, they were shut down for I think a week again because they couldn't teach.
Details, come on.
Yeah. So, and now, I mean, they go to the camp. They go to camp tomorrow. And I do not believe they'll have them. I don't know how much they'll use them, but they'll have their masks. I don't know how much they're going to use them. I guess we'll see. I mean, they've been going to school with them, so I mean, but it's really going to be at their discretion. So yeah, it's a situation where, you know, when they have a choice to whether to get vaccinated or not, when it comes time, I will try to leave it to them, see what they say. But at least pretty much is indicated that they both want to get the vaccine, and I can't say I blame them. I mean, when it was offered to me, it was like, okay, you know.
Right, but are your girls really old enough to make a mature decision about that?
I feel they are. Even at 7, I feel they are. Yeah.
I love your girls dearly, you know that. I'd take a bullet for them, but for crying out loud, a 7-year-old cannot make a decision about that.
I don't know about that, but
I'm glad they're leaning that way anyway, so it's not an issue.
well, I mean, they both have talked about it, and they both have asked about it. So, you know, anyway,
I'd say that's a case so where the girls can make a decision either way, and then Jason and Elise can come in and kind of have the ultimate authority over it. But you know, it's kind of a good learning experience to help them think the right way, I think.
Right, of course.
I mean, if one of them really drags their feet when it comes time, we'll figure it out. But yeah, I don't see there being a problem with it. Anyway, so with the way things have been handled, what do you think? What do you think we really, as a society, what do you think we honestly have truly learned from this?
God, what a loaded question. You really want an honest answer? Because it's going to be pretty sarcastic.
Go ahead.
We've learned that we make no decisions unless we are Republican or Democrat, and that we're stupid as hell.
Okay. Go ahead. Elaborate.
To me, there's no question that a lot of people have ceased to demonstrate an ability to make a decision unless it's aligned with the party of their political affiliation. So self-direction, self-choice is bad for those people. I think it has a lot to do with why we're not reaching herd immunity and why we're not getting to a point where we're ensuring the safety of our society in this country. I can't speak to other countries, although every indication tells me that they're behaving in more unison and in more intelligent fashion when they have access to the vaccine. Um, Americans have betrayed themselves for the idiots that they are because they are using the wrong criteria to make decisions on life and death.
Chad?
I guess I would agree to some extent. I see a lot of people making decisions based on their political party affiliation. And I guess what I've seen internationally though is it's no different. It's really no different here. You have the people who are the conspiracy theorists for the vaccines, and just to some extent though, I go, if it's coming from one of these other places that's not FDA approved, but although was a fast process to the FDA, maybe there's some truth to it. But even those vaccines that have gone through the FDA process, there are people here that think that, for example, that think that the docs were killing people to get them out of the ICU. So I think that it's pervasive. I think it doesn't matter about the country. I think everybody's got their every country has their issues with regard to COVID and the conspiracies that they think are going on. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that it's a bad disease. We've had bad diseases many, many times in our histories, just not for us necessarily. But I think the saving grace that we have had this time is that we've had a vaccine that's been able to come through and be able to save a lot more lives, if you will. I mean, because we'll reach herd immunity one way or another. History has shown us that. And I mean, it is a person who has a secondary concentration in epidemiology, at the doctorate level, yeah, we'll reach it one way or another.
Doug?
People like to bitch and moan more often than I'd like. And yeah, there's a ton of misinformation out there. I mean, someone who, I would say, reads a lot and stuff, and just the amount of I had to do with because normally I would think that a lot of this is like blown out of proportion and stuff, but just people like so many of my family members and all just like buying into this stuff, and I'm like, seriously, are you guys like really listen to what you're saying? Because it just doesn't make sense. And it shocked me that how much of that, like you're saying, bad information and stuff. And it was just reassuring that when we went to our second shot, that the place was packed. And I know the numbers they're saying are slowing down and all, but it gave me some reassurance that in this area, at least, that there are people still going out and getting vaccinated. And I guess it's also misleading too, is because I hear a lot of people who haven't been vaccinated are now kind of feeling like believing that herd immunity idea. And basically what I'm trying to get to, not that they're believing it, it's just that when you see the numbers, like the new cases in Pennsylvania down to just above 100, you're like, well, that won't happen to me. But it actually, I have a nephew who just wound up with COVID in New Jersey. So, I mean, it can happen to you, even with the numbers that low. And I think that's part of the thing that people are now saying, oh, well, everything's kind of going down. They're opening up. I don't need to get it. But, it's showing with different variations and all that. You do need to get it,
Mm-hmm.
So, with that said, basically, that's how I feel about it. And I just mean that also, like we were saying, with things getting back to normal, it's interesting with work. They're like telling us we have to be in the office, come September, back to the office, and you see a lot of papers in New York, a lot of places in New York, they're all requiring everybody back to work by July. For me, it was like they took a survey at my job, and it was like, I've been doing this for 1.5 years now, working from home, and now all of a sudden you told me I have to be in the office. Why? So there's that bit of it, where you can see throughout the country, it's going to be very mixed on who's going to have to, and people fighting, to work from home and stuff, and how much better it is for their life if they can. And I think it's going to be a new sought out thing with HR is people, looking for jobs where they can work from home. I think that's going to be a big game player, with jobs.
Right.
Absolutely.
But-
I do think that's one way our society's changed big time.
Yeah.
You guys know I work in HR, and we're fully expecting a massive amount of turnover, particularly in the companies that require full-time attendance in the office. That all the employers are just going to say, screw you. And fortunately, I do not work for one of those companies.
Right. I know for me, I mean, there's always been conspiracy theories on everything. And I honestly feel like those are blowing things way out of proportion with a lot of this. A lot of these theories are some of the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard in my life, to be completely honest. Yeah, I mean, some, like you said, Chad, some of it, there are some points to it, but with a lot of it, a lot of the stuff you hear about how these vaccines are making people, like the Johnson & Johnson thing. They shut the vaccine for people getting sick. They shut it down for a while. And when you look at how many people it actually was, you have it make it sound like, oh, it was hundreds or thousands. It was maybe 100, if that. There was not that many with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that they shut it down for. Initially, it was 6 people that got sick when they shut the Johnson & Johnson vaccine down.
Yeah, I remember it was a small number, and the important thing, I think, is if you look at the total number of people who had the vaccine, so it was 10 or 16, whatever it was, out of 2 million, which I
It was
understand.
like point zero zeros. The percentage was very, very low.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, unfortunately, there was one guy at work who had a scheduled appointment for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and the day before he was going to get vaccinated, they shut it down and canceled his appointment. And he finally just got vaccinated. Now everybody, there's only 9 of us, but all 11 of us technically with my parents. All 11 of us are finally vaccinated. He just hit his 2-week mark yesterday. So for 11 people to be constantly working together like that, we all finally are okay, and everybody, we got through this, and we got through it working missing only 3 days of work for the entire time of this. So it's kind of pretty, because 11 people, if you think about it, that are constantly together for no one to have gotten it, it's pretty good. Especially my parents at a little more advanced age. It's a good thing. And man, granted, we had our share of shit happen this year, but we made it through. And for the most part, my wife, honestly, I will say, we were on a cruise not last November, the November before, November 19th, and Elise was sick for the better part of a month. She thinks she may have actually had it. I don't think she did, but we've been fortunate enough and unfortunate enough. My in-laws did have it. My in-laws had it around Thanksgiving, or actually just before. In fact, we did not see them for Thanksgiving. We actually did Thanksgiving. I did it here and brought food to them. So we've had a couple of functions where we've gone to my brother-in-law's, and they've been fairly large functions, and it's been, it's nice to see. And I actually, like I said, I saw a girl who I've known, not known, but I go to the same Whole Foods every week, and we always have a conversation. And I actually said to her today, "It's nice to see your face again, your whole face again." She laughed. She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "I didn't think about that." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Been over, a year and a half," and it's nice to to start to see that normalcy come back. It's nice to see some smiles on faces. Because this is going to go down as a very dark period in American history. And hopefully, I wouldn't say it's the darkest period in American history, because there's been some horrifying things that have happened in this country. But this is something that is going to leave a lasting memory. And hopefully it is something that our children don't see again, or their children don't ever see something like this.
Thank you, brother.
Anybody have anything they want to add before we head out of here as we now push an hour?
Time's here, time's right for dancing in the street, boys.
Nothing to add here.
I won't object, Doug.
I will say one thing, and I should have mentioned this before, but with the possibility of Keith, Doug, and I being in the same room together
God help us.
for the first time, I propose well, obviously I won't be. If Keith and Doug are coherent enough and everyone is willing, that we do maybe some variation of Dads on Life or a Zoom call and post it from the party.
If we can figure out how to do that, I'm all in. And we
I
can-
honestly,
have
I
some other
honestly think
dads here.
if you set up one phone outside and one phone inside, we do it easy.
We
or
could
two
make-
phones, in different rooms. There are ways to do it.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of not having feedback on the phones, and that's it. Basically,
Or we could all just sit in front of the camera right here.
could do that too. Yeah.
That way, when I want to be a smart aleck, I can just reach out and slap you instead. That'll be good.
Well, maybe we shouldn't be sitting in the same room together because the fucking glare of your head is going to blind me.
And that's a wrap, Mr. Miles. You can take it home now.
Okay. As I said, this is a time for to come together, to come back together, for a time for change, a time for recovery, a time for healing. As we now move forward into the new future, the new norm. Hopefully, we have learned enough from this that for once in our life, history, or once in the time of human life, history will not be doomed to repeat itself. So, from all of us here at Dads on Life, take care, everybody.
Have a good one, everybody.
Arrivederci.